Good morning. This is the regularly scheduled Tuesday meeting for the Los Angeles Fire Commission. Ms. Gomez, can you call the roll?
Hudley Hayes,
Here.
Delugich,
Here.
Babcock,
Present.
Hara,
Here.
Woods Gray, Fire Chief Crawley,
Here.
and we're missing the Deputy City Attorney Lyndon Wen. I'm sure she'll be in momentarily.
Thank you.
You have a quorum.
Chief Crowley, you have the floor. Okay.
All right, if you can stand, please stand. Hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. And join me in a moment of silence in honor of past and present members of Los Angeles City Fire Department who devoted their lives to the protection of our community. Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to commission comments.
Thank you, President. I would like to read into the record a thank you letter from a resident of Los Angeles who's also the wife of my boss and school board president, Jackie Goldberg. She writes, "Dear Fire Chief Crowley, first of all, I'm grateful to both the fire team at 220s and those on Rescue Ambulance 56. It was like watching a choreographed ballet where each person knew their job and cooperated with each other as a smooth-running machine. We called 911 at about 9:30 a.m. on September 11th, and the response was immediate. By 10 a.m., I was delivered to Glendale Memorial after much action was taken both at my home and in the ambulance, which saved my life." 3 exclamation points. By 11:20 a.m., a stent was in place and I was sitting up talking to my spouse. Specifically, I thank Captain Lee Westfall, Engineer DeWin Pitts, Firefighter Nick Brown, and Firefighter Harrison Klinsky at 220s. And I'm deeply grateful as well to Rescue Ambulance 56, Firefighter Paramedic Jesus Orozco, and Firefighter John Ngo. They administered medication and made quick, perfect decisions to keep me alive until I reached the hospital. What outstanding, well-trained teams. Thank you very much from the bottom of my recovering heart. With warmest regards and in appreciation, Sharon Stricker. So thank you all so much.
I have a comment. Dr. Hart, do you have a comment? No.
Not after that.
So, once again, our fire chief was honored at the Women of LA City Hall Honors, Mayor, City Attorney, and the fire chief. So the Women of LA City Hall event celebrated its 10th anniversary at the prestigious, that just talks about the hotel downtown. You don't want to know that, do you? Honoring all the women in front and behind the scenes of LA City government. This year's honorees included Mayor and Karen Bass, City Attorney Heidi Felston Soto, and Fire Chief Kristen M. Crowley, making history as the first time these high-ranking positions have all been held by women. Congratulations, Chief Crowley, again.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we're going to move to the report of the fire chief.
All right, thank you, ma'am. So good morning, everyone. I'll be briefly discussing my meetings and events from September 19th to October 2nd. I did have the opportunity to travel all the way to the East Coast to Boston, where I participated in the 2023 Urban Fire Forum. It was an excellent opportunity to represent the LAFD, but also, and just as important, was the ability to network just across the nation with other fire service leaders. We discussed a number of really important topics that directly impact the LAFD and the fire service as a whole. I just wanted to read a couple of the topics that we discussed. And one of the real specific ones that I thought was very interesting was a heads up on neuroprotective CPR, why the fire service is poised to save unprecedented number of lives. Another topic was enhancing fire service resilience and implementing comprehensive behavioral health programs. Again, we're going to continue to build off of what we've created here with the LAFD. but that just reinforced the importance of us focusing on our people's overall safety, health, and well-being. Another important topic that we discussed, as well as many other topics, was reproductive health and behavioral health and the women in the fire service. The other opportunity, too, this was at the NFPA headquarters, so again, just having that national presence and the ability to network was definitely worth the long trip, and we'll continue to build off of what we learned and shared with one another. On September 23rd, solemn day for the LAFD. This is where we laid to rest our firefighter paramedic Dan Ramirez, where we had his memorial. That was at Cottonwood Church with his over 33 years of service. It was just a beautiful life celebration of what he was able to bring not only to the community but to his family. And may he rest in peace. And we are going to continue to support the family in every way that we can. September 24th, I was invited to represent the LAFD as well, and this was at the Noel Kidre service at the Wilshire Boulevard Temple. That was a wonderful evening to be able to sit side by side with our local community members. September 27th, this was an incredible opportunity to highlight the efforts of your LAFD when it comes to our preparation in brush and any type of wildfire scenario. The council had asked, obviously from the fire chief's perspective and the LAFD perspective, as well as LAPD Chief Moore, and our emergency management department, and that was Carol Parks, where we came to the table, we discussed in detail the city's preparation to ensure that the community is ready and we're able to respond at a moment's notice with any type of a wildfire emergency in the city. On September 28th, another solemn but very special opportunity. That's where we did the dedication to John Rudy, and we just officially made the John Rudy Memorial Training Center at Fire Station 88. A lot of incredible work has been done in the USAR arena. We had family and friends well attended there, and a beautiful way to memorialize Captain Rudy for his contributions to the department and to the community. Also, just went over to LAWA, and that's where CEO Justin Urbachi is leaving his position from LAWA, and they will be identifying the next leader over at LAWA in the near future. And lastly, October 2nd, just yesterday, I was able to partner with Councilwoman Heather Hutt, I should say, at CD10, and she is the chair of Transportation Committee. Her focus was to come in hand with the LAFD and just create that dialogue, better educate the community when it comes to pull to the right. And that is a direct correlation when it comes to ensuring that our firefighters are safe as they're responding to the emergency calls. And as we all know, every second does count. So I appreciate the councilwoman leaning forward on this, and we'll continue to work with all the city council members when it comes to firefighter safety, health, and well-being. End of report. Thank you.
You know what I think? I think that young people should take driver's education again in school. I don't think people know they're supposed to pull over to the right anymore. You know, but of course, when you're 400 years old, like me, you took it driver's ed as part of your physical education. So you had part of it in a little trailer, you know, outside of your high school, and then you had the other part where you got in the car. But you learned all of that kind of stuff about moving to the right. I see people all the time. The fire truck is coming, and they're just humming along right with the fire truck, just right with the fire truck, and I'm like, do you people understand moving to the right? And then I realized, well, maybe they're not 500 years old, and they never had driver's ed in high school. We should do it again. Sorry. I'm being fractious this morning. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. We're going to have a verbal report now by the department on the significant incidents and activities for the period of September 19th through October 2nd. Chief Moore, good morning.
Good morning, Madam President, Vice President, Commissioners, Chief Crowley, City Attorney Gwynn, Ms. Gomez, sworn civilian staff, and guests. I'm here to report on a significant incident that happened in Operation South Bureau, Deputy Chief Jamie Moore. Last Monday, October 25th at 12:53 hours, the Los Angeles Fire Department received reports of a small aircraft that was coming out of the sky in the San Pedro area. Los Angeles Fire Department resources responded to 401 West Westmont Drive, better known as the Field of Dreams. That area once served as a landfill for the city of Los Angeles and now serves as a community center and park where many children participate in AYSO soccer and other outside activities. Fortunately, that day the field was empty. There were some individuals who were enjoying their lunch in their cars that work in the area. And what they witnessed was a small 4-passenger aircraft that came out of the sky on its way back to Torrance Airport. It crash landed into the Field of Dreams, trying to make an attempt at landing. It had made prior reports to the Torrance Tower that they were having engine problems. And upon landing, the aircraft split in half. Fortunately, there was no fire. There were reports of 2 souls on board. Those individuals that were in the parking lot immediately initiated 911, creating that LAFD response. Engine 36, commanded by Captain Chad Stewart and his crew, arrived on scene and immediately reported a plane down, and that there were 2 individuals on board. Fortunately, one of those individuals was able to be extricated by those individuals who witnessed the crash. The pilot of the plane, unfortunately, was requiring extrication. So LAFD resources arrived on scene. Both patients were in critical condition. They were able to extricate that individual and transport both individuals safely to the hospital in critical condition. I'm happy to report that both individuals have survived. It was a pilot taking a future student on the first flight ever, and it was the first time that that type of aircraft has ever crashed in the United States. The company that manufactures that aircraft is out of South Africa. They're based out of Torrance Airport, and we are fortunate that Battalion Chief Shin Black was heads up enough to make some contact immediately with the manufacturer, and we were able to get them on FaceTime to learn exactly how to disconnect that flight. So we disconnected the proper batteries, even though it was crashed and in rubble, and we were able to recover the box and disconnect it as the FAA had requested us. The FAA did do an investigation, and happy to report that that field is clear. There are no hazards there, and it's open to the public. End of my report.
Thank you very much. I think, once again, I want to reiterate why it's important that we hear these things, because I really believe that the public doesn't understand all of the things that you all know how to do. Being able to connect with somebody in South Africa, being able to do something about a black box, being able to extricate people from, these kind of precarious situations. I think it's just important. Thank you very much, because you always give a good report, a good specific report. But I think people don't understand. You hear people, well, why do they waste time doing that? This is why we don't waste time doing this, so that people understand really and truly the kind of things that the fire department does and the training that you have. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
We're now going to have a verbal report for that same time period about medical emergencies, and it's Chief Dixon that's going to do it.
Good morning, Madam President, Commissioners, Chief Crowley, staff, and guests. My name is Tyler Dixon. I'm an Assistant Chief assigned to the EMS Bureau, and I'm honored to present several incidents that occurred during the reporting period of September 19th through October 2nd that represent the excellent work that your firefighter, paramedics, EMTs, rated members, advanced practitioners, and officers have provided to the citizens and residents and visitors of Los Angeles. While I'm going to present only 2 patients to highlight, during that time period, your LAFD treated and responded to, treated, and transported thousands of patients. The first incident I'll share with you occurred on September 22nd. Light Force 74 and Rescue 74 in Operation Valley Bureau were awoken near midnight to respond to a single-family dwelling where there were reports of an adult male suffering chest pain. They responded in a very timely manner and immediately accessed the patient, who was pale, cool, and diaphoretic, which is a sign of imminent stress and a medical emergency. The patient described the worst chest pain they'd ever felt in their life, 10 out of 10. And as the paramedics connected the electrocardiogram to start assessing the patient became dizzy and lost consciousness. The paramedics immediately laid the patient down, read the electrocardiogram that was a deadly rhythm, a ventricular tachycardic rhythm. This is a rhythm that will not sustain life. The paramedics detected that there was no pulse and immediately started CPR within seconds of the cardiac arrest. They were able to, with several rounds of advanced medication, advanced cardiac life support medication, similar to what the patient would receive in the emergency department, in several minutes of CPR, were able to bring the patient back to full consciousness and talking. They were able to conduct the rest of their assessment, detecting that the patient had signs of a myocardial infarction. Again, a deadly condition. They completed a stabilization on scene, loaded the patient into the ambulance, and contacted the base station hospital, and in coordination with the base station hospital, determined that we would transport this patient to a specialized receiving center that had a cardiac cath lab, the ability to place a stent in the heart and clear the potential myocardial infarction. Now, their work wasn't done here. They had a transport from the Sunland Tahunga area to Glendale. During that transport, paramedics were in the back being driven by the light force, so you had a full team there because of the seriousness of this patient. And that was an astute move by our firefighter paramedics and our EMTs, because the patient went into cardiac arrest 3 separate times, again, while transporting. Our paramedics were able to, again, provide cardiac advanced life support and bring back pulses each individual time, delivering the patient to this specialized cardiac center for definitive care. This is a foundational type of patient, one of the foundational reasons that paramedics were born in the United States, to provide cardiac advanced life support, read EKGs, and the ability to detect a myocardial infarction in the field utilizing 12 leads of EKG and coordinating with specialty centers such as cath labs represent advances in EMS since the advent of paramedics. So while this is just a single incident, this is not an uncommon type of incident that your paramedics and EMTs in the LAFD deal with on a daily basis. Down to Operation South Bureau on the 29th of September, a rescue ambulance, a BLS rescue ambulance staffed by firefighter EMTs was dispatched to what is a lower level dispatch, a non-life-threatening incident. Our emergency medical dispatcher was able to communicate with the patient who was the caller and determine that there was not a life-threatening event. However, the patient had severe back pain for several days. This was not related to an injury, and the emergency medical dispatcher was able to identify that they would send 1 ambulance to this type of patient. It is common that this type of patient results in a non-emergency transport to a hospital to rule out any number of causes for this type of pain and to provide pain management above and beyond what an EMT or paramedic would be able to do. Your EMTs, firefighter EMTs, astutely performed an assessment and identified the possibility that this patient would benefit from a treatment in place by an advanced provider response unit, a nurse practitioner or a physician assistant. They added advanced provider response unit 65, which was responded in a short period of time, bringing in a physician assistant that is able to conduct a much higher level assessment and rule out some of the similar types of things that an emergency room would do for this type of patient. The physician assistant assigned to AP 65 conducted a differential diagnosis, ruling out any emergent medical conditions that would require emergent transport to a hospital and further care by a physician. They were able to also identify the ability to provide a trigger point injection of numbing medication and pain medication at the site of pain in the lower back. A side note to this patient is this patient had 2 young children at home, had delivered a baby recently, and had concerns about child care and leaving their 2 small children at home to go find medical care outside of what she was able to treat with over-the-counter medications that had not relieved the pain. Based on the APRU 65's treatment in place above and beyond what your EMTs and paramedics were able to do, partnered with a firefighter paramedic that specialized in partnering with this physician assistant and has an additional training and scope. They were able to relieve the pain of this patient, and this patient was able to stay at home and care for the 2 young children, and then follow up at a later date with their physician when they could provide for their child care. So just another example of the innovative units and tactics that your LAFD is utilizing to meet the needs and of your residents and visitors of Los Angeles. Happy to answer any questions, ma'am.
I always have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry about that.
No, I welcome.
So tell me, you partner with, or is it just at 65s about having a physician's assistant available? So that's some kind of specialized thing that we do?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me just a little bit about that.
Absolutely, ma'am. Advanced provider response units are staffed by nurse practitioners and physician assistants, which are employees of the LAFD. These are permanent units. And it just so
They're
happens.
permanent units with us.
Yes, ma'am. And it just so happens I have a board report prepared for you that's later in the agenda that outlines these programs in detail, which I defer to you if you'd like me to give you details in that board report or at this time, ma'am.
No, I just, I'm going to come down there afterwards, and you're going to have to give me details, but no, not right now. I wasn't aware of it, thank you, but I see other people were. Thank you. Are there any other questions for? Okay, all right.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you say one? No, I thought you said I just have one. Okay. So that takes us to presentations. We have none, or do we have some? We have a presentation.
Good morning, Madam President.
Good morning.
Commissioners, Chief Crowley, City Attorney, LAFD administration, and guests. My name is Eric Scott, Captain 2 paramedic, serving as the department's public information officer. And we are recognizing a very pivotal incident where a 25-year-old man, his life hung in the balance. And it was because of the outstanding actions of our members that are here today that not only saved his life, but demonstrated the unwavering commitment to our department and public safety. So at this time, we'd like to ask 2 of the members that were part of that operation to please stand next to the podium. That would be Justin Clayton and David Osagura. Now, the incident took place in October 2017 in West Los Angeles, where we received a very distressed 911 call that came in by a coworker of the patient. So our firefighter dispatcher guided the caller through the emergency process and soon realized the gravity of the situation and what had transpired. We had a 25-year-old man that was carrying some metal rain gutters, and he was on a rooftop of a building that was under construction, and this took place 30 feet above ground. The gutters came in contact with power lines, and the man was electrocuted. So fortunately, within 5 minutes, our members quickly arrived on scene. That also included our firefighter paramedics, and they strategically worked to mitigate the electrical hazards. Simultaneously, the paramedics worked tirelessly to stabilize that patient. And so to do this, they had to come up with a very comprehensive plan that was quickly formulated to safely bring this injured man down on top of this construction building 30 feet above ground. And so Task Force 37 utilized what we call a litter basket operation, where they take their 100-foot aerial ladder truck, they extend that ladder, they create a low-angle rope system, and they ensure a smooth, secure, and maneuvering of that patient ultimately to the ground, the gurney, and the ambulance. But the remarkable aspect of this incident is really the condensed time frame in which they were able to put this all together in this coordinated effort. They had this patient to the emergency room within 40 minutes. Now, this could naturally take a couple hours to really progress through all of this process. So you had to find the location when you're getting there to a construction site, meet with the workers. You have a medical component. You also have a rescue component. So they have to connect an EKG monitor that Chief Dixon had just mentioned to the patient on the roof, start IVs while they're on the roof. The other operation is extending that aerial ladder. You have to relieve that of tension. You use different spider straps, tag lines, a lot of things that go into place, but because they were so highly trained and worked together, they were able to put this together very, very quickly. Ultimately, they had to retract that ladder now with the patient, safely bring it to the ground, to the gurney inside of an ambulance, continue the assessment, and take him to the hospital. Again, which could naturally be a couple hours, down to just 40 minutes. It was really outstanding work. So our firefighters consistently demonstrated decisiveness, courage, strength, and even compassion in the most perilous of stressful situations. And without a doubt that their actions that day is a testament to the unwavering dedication of our mission to provide exceptional public safety and emergency service. And because of their efforts, that man is alive and well today. And we were able to even contact the mother of the patient. Unfortunately, the patient wasn't able to be here, but they're back to work and doing just fine. So this brought a credit not only to themselves, but to the Los Angeles City Fire Department. And so we'll go ahead and read one of the certificates that we have for them. In October, on the 11,900 block of Mayfield Avenue in West Los Angeles, you acted with great courage and initiative. Your quick response saved an electrocuted man's life. The Los Angeles City Fire Department commends you for your extraordinary life-saving efforts to a citizen of the City of Los Angeles, presented this 3rd day of October, 2023, Kristen M. Crowley, Fire Chief.
Okay, so if I may, obviously, any opportunity we can take to highlight our people, and if I were to just ask each one of them, you know, and say, hey, congratulations, thank you for doing such an amazing job, they're going to say, Chief, I was just doing my job, right? So they're like, why am I standing here? But honestly, this is what it's all about. Very dynamic situation. This is just a reminder of hundreds, if not thousands, of calls that our people go on a daily basis, where they come to work, they know their job, they train to make sure that we can provide that exceptional public safety and emergency services. So we're just happy that you're here. We can highlight your efforts. But with that, congratulations to the both of you. I know you continue to grow and to contribute with the organization. We have some family members here, so thank you for sharing your dad and your husband with us, with the Oseguero family. So with that, congratulations to the members. And yes, if you'd like to stand, please, the Oseguero family, please stand. Ma'am, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here to support us. So thank you to the members. You make us proud, and we look forward to seeing what else you can do for us. Congratulations. Want to get a picture? Yep.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Commissioners, please.
Let's put the 2 taller members on the back so we won't block anybody and stand in the back middle.
That's what they have steps for.
Okay.
Make sure we can see you.
One, two, three. Perfect.
Okay, that brings us to the public comment period. We have one speaker, Chong Ho. Have I got that right? Oh, there you are. And you're speaking to 6B, and you're going to make a public comment.
Yes,
But you're basically speaking to 6B.
6B, yes.
Go.
Good morning, Madam President, Board of Fire Commissioners, Fire Chief Crowley, Deputy City Attorney, staff. My name is Chung Ho. I'm the Vice President of United Firefighters of Los Angeles City, Local 112. Today, I'd like to speak on Agenda Item 6B and also make general public comment. As we all know, our sworn members in the field are overwhelmed and overworked. As such, UFLAC unequivocally supports providing immediate relief to those members in the field. The APRUs and the FRBs do just that, provides immediate relief to our members in the field. We do, however, need to focus on staffing these resources more consistently and more permanently. Phasing out of what has been a trial program and into something more permanent with permanent staffing authorities. This has been a trial program forever. We'd like to make it permanent, and we need your support to do that. Lastly, I'd like to talk about AP 65, APRU 65, and its hours of operation. The report that was submitted to you states that its hours of operation is from 0800 to 2,000 hours. The actual hours of operation is 0800 to 1,800 hours, with 2 additional hours being offered as voluntary overtime if desired. UFLAC would like the report edited in a version that accurately reflects those hours of operation. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioners, that brings us down to 5, wow, all the way down, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I are all on the consent calendar. Does anybody want anything pulled?
I just have a quick question on H.
Sure. On which? H?
On item H, the brush clearance appeals and fees. Should I just go ahead and ask that? I love this. I'm so happy about these brush clearance fees. I live in Mount Washington. Lots of people don't own the places where the brush is out of control. Anyway, I wonder, how are we collecting on these fees when people appeal and they lose their appeals? Are we collecting? I mean, there's good money in these things. So, are we collecting that money from these nuisance property owners?
Ma'am, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Captain Brian DeSore. I'm in charge of the brush clearance unit within the Fire Prevention Bureau.
Great.
Madam
you guys.
President, Vice President, Chief Crawley, City Attorney, and staff. In regards of the fees, yes, ma'am, we do accept or collect all the fees. It goes back to the general fund on both the what's called the BN and the BCs, which is the $33 fee and the $674 fee.
And just one other quick question. If you, I mean, is there like some sort of like, is there interest assessed if they don't pay right away? Because I'm sure a lot of them try to, obviously, they were all trying to get out of it one way or another.
So currently, the fire accounting assesses a 100% assessment fee if it's not paid within 90 days of its assessment. So we send out a 30-day notice. If they don't receive any type of payment, we provide another notice of another 60-day delinquency. On a 90-day delinquency, then it's assessed by the city for a doubling or 100% penalty on the fees itself.
Thank you. I just think that's so great. I mean, because a lot of the times these are the same sort of bad actors, people who own these properties and aren't clearing their brush or creating other nuisances in our neighborhoods too. So thank you guys so much for doing that.
I also had a question on this one.
Yes, ma'am.
When you say that the money goes to the general fund, what do you mean? It goes to the general fund of the city?
Yes, ma'am.
How come we don't get it?
Yeah.
That's a great question, ma'am.
Well, we do the work.
Right. Most of our fees do go back into the general fund, and then we go through the normal budgetary process. They pull the money from the general fund to support the fire department budget.
Do we get all of it out of the general fund? You say it goes to the general fund, and then they pull it and they give it back to us. Do they give all of it back to us, or do they do like something like we get to keep some of it for administrative stuff or something?
My understanding is just whatever comes from the general fund then will help fund the fire department's overall budget.
No.
So,
Like earmarked.
no.
No, that's just crazy. We need to do something about that. If we're doing the work, we should get all the money back, as far as I can see, so that we don't have to then fight for it or fight for some little piece of it. We probably should talk, or somehow or another, we should try to figure out how we can convey that, because this is a clear-cut instance of we are doing all of the work. Our people, our resources, our apparatus, we're doing all the work. We're protecting the city from fires. And then it goes to the general fund to do we don't know what, when we actually should be getting all that money back. That was my first question. My second question is, what happens when people don't pay? No matter what we do, they don't pay.
So if it's on they don't pay, it gets assessed on their property taxes the following year.
Okay. So we do manage to collect that money, even if they don't pay. Their property taxes go up a bit.
It will
Is
be
that what you're
assessed-
saying?
it will
The
be assessed
assessment
on their
goes onto their
taxes the
property
following year.
taxes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And that's why we're here today. Your passing of the consent agenda will be allowing us to move it forward to Public Safety Committee.
Okay.
Once that is approved, then we will move forward to providing no non-payment to the county assessor's office.
Oh, so county assessors takes it, and then if they collect it, it goes back into the county?
No, ma'am. It comes back to us.
Okay. Okay, yeah, because my other thought was then it should just be a lien on the property, so if they try to sell it, but it just goes into the property taxes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Okay, so I think we should probably try to figure that out I think it is a governance question. It's a question for the commission to try to take up. I don't know who we take it up with, but I think we should try to figure that out, because I am really and truly adamant about the fact that we should get all this money. We really should get all of this money. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Anything else that needs to be pulled? So let me ask our city attorney. We don't have to read these off individually, do we, so that the public knows what they are? Should we read them off
I'm sorry.
individually?
No, you can just mention them as items 5A through I.
Okay,
I move.
Thank you.
May I move that we accept on consent items 5A through I?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. That brings us down to our regular agenda items. So we're at 6A, and that's the report on helicopter pilot certifications.
Madam President, Madam Vice President, Commissioners, Fire Chief Crawley, staff and guests, good morning. My name is Rick Holmes, Battalion Chief at Air Operations. I also have Pilot Dan Child with me. He's one of our lead pilots. We're here today to discuss our helicopter pilot certifications and give you a brief overview of the program in and of itself. The Air Operations consist of 16 authorities for helicopter pilots. Within those 16 authorities, there's 5 different ranks. The Pilot 1 and Pilot 2 ranks are for our trainees. The Pilot 3 rank is designated as a mission commander. And then our Pilot 4s, which there are 3 of them, are our lead pilots. There's 1 per platoon. And then we have a Pilot 5, who's our chief pilot that oversees the entire operation. So we did provide you with the report. The question was, what type of certifications do our pilots have? What I'd like to do is just give you a brief overview and then turn it over to Pilot Child. He can give you a more comprehensive overview of the spreadsheet that we provided to you within the report. The one thing that I would like to highlight is the fact that out of the 16 pilots that we have, and I believe there's 13 listed on your report right now because we have a couple of vacancies, 85% of those pilots exceed our minimum requirements as far as the FAA is concerned. The reason for that is we've developed a culture of safety within the air operations section, which is the cornerstone of everything that we do, as well as being an industry leader within the entire fire service, as well as emergency medical services provided by HEMS, or helicopter emergency services. So we've strived to become industry leaders. We want to be at the cutting edge of technology, training, service. And one of the things we do to maintain that is we push our pilots to exceed the normal expectations and requirements. It's a voluntary program. Pilot Child will discuss that more in depth, but I really do want to highlight the dedication and all the time and effort that our pilots put into it. You guys see it on the news during brush fires or when we're going through hoisting operations. It's very high profile, but I think sometimes we lack a little bit of understanding of what it takes to really get there as far as our training goes and the level of dedication. So having said that, I'd like to turn it over to Pilot Child. If you have any questions in regard to the spreadsheet, please ask. We'd be more than happy to answer them. Danny?
I think that where we see that you have some people that are going to need to be recertified, like some of them are like 11/30/2023. Do they just automatically go for recertification? Because that's like, like next month, this guy right here, 11/30/2023, for example.
This report goes out once a year to Department of Health Services. So these will get updated once a year. So this goes out in January. So these medical licenses are good for that year, throughout that year. And then they'll renew again when we update the form in January of '24.
So the people that we see that are done in 2023, they just automatically are recertified for the following year, or did I miss something?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, you're going to explain it to me?
Absolutely will, yeah.
Thank you so much.
I'll explain how all the licensure works and the medicals and everything.
If I would just hold my horses, you would explain it to me.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
So I'll just, I don't know if everybody's looking at Pilot Dan Child, lead pilot on the C shift at Air Operations. Thank you. Sorry. So this is the form that you guys are looking at is what we give to Department of Health Services. It's 418.1 every year. Goes out in January. The names that are on the left, as the chief mentioned, are the 13 that are all certified in our twin-engine aircraft. We do have a few pilots that are on the up-and-coming who are our Pilot 1, Pilot 2s, which would not to transport any types of patients or be certified in twin-engine aircraft, so they're not on the list. So that's where we fall short in some of the names as far as pilots that we do have and ones that have made the list. On the next column, the FAA certificate issue expiration date. So like I said, that comes out in January is when we produce a list. So we look at everybody's medical license in the beginning of January to see where they all fall. We put that licensure on here, the date that it comes up, and once a year. So this is all of our pilots have a second-class medical, which is required for Part 135, HEMS operations, and any of the CAMES audits that we end up doing as well. So that second-class medical is above and beyond for what a regular pilot would end up having, and that has to get recertified every year. So that pilot is due at the end of the year, so he would be due, let's say, for instance, George Arevalo, the second one down, he would be due at the end of November 2023. He'll get another medical, hopefully, which I also want to point out that that medical is only what validates that pilot license in the next column over. So you may have a pilot license, which allows you to fly an aircraft, but without a medical, it's not valid. So that is a very slippery slope for us because there's quite a few things that can take that medical away from us. It can be anything as simple medications, such as over-the-counter antihistamines, different types of heart medications, a whole list of things that we could lose our medical over, which would no longer leave our license valid. In the next column is the license that everyone holds currently, that airline transport pilot, or otherwise known as an ATP. It's the highest rating that any of the pilots can get, whether it's in fixed wing or rotorcraft. You can see that 85% of our guys are all ATP pilots. It's the same pilot licensure that you'll find on Delta, American, United. All those guys have the same airline transport pilot license. It holds a stringent standard for flying. All the maneuvers need to be held to a tighter standard. The hours and ratings, whether it's in IFR, instrument flying, and VFR, needs to have a certain amount of hours in order to be eligible to take a test for an airline transport pilot. The next one, these are all the ratings. You can see the legend down below. We have about half of our guys. So an airline transport pilot is the highest rating. You have a private pilot, a commercial pilot, and then an airline transport pilot. Within that, medals, different things. All of our pilots are also certified flight instructors. You can see half of them within this list are certified flight instructors for instrument rating as well. All of our pilots are also instrument rated. Half of the pilots are also fixed wing rated. So we have a wide variety of licensures that our pilots have. Some are fixed wing, as well as the instrument instructors. All of our pilots are instrument rated in all the aircraft. The aircraft requires an instrument rating to go along with it, which then also exceeds any of the Part 135 requirements, just showing that we are striving to meet above the standard of what is required for the business model that we do. The total hours is in the next column over there, and it varies depending on the time, flight, the amount of years flying. The flight time is reflected there. And then the next column is just the amount of hours they've flown in the past 12 months for that.
Okay.
Any questions within there?
Anybody have any questions?
I have just one tiny little question. You said that you have some vacancies?
Yes, ma'am. We have 3 pilot trainees that are going through the first phase of our training right now. It takes our pilot trainees 4 to 5 years to go through the entire program to become mission qualified. So another unique area within the LAFD's Air Operations Program is that all of our pilots are internal. In other words, they're sworn members that are hired within the organization. They go through a civil service exam, and then they go through our own training program. Unlike all of the other agencies surrounding us, like LA County, Ventura County, they're actually able to hire pilots from the outside, bring them into the organization. What's unique about what we do is we build a culture from when they come in, and it kind of piggybacks on the existing culture of the fire department. So they hit the ground running, per se, when they come to us. They don't have to go through that arduous process of learning a different culture. It's already instilled in them. And I think that really leads towards that level of dedication and the safety that I mentioned before.
So how do they get to be sworn? They don't go through do they go through the drill tower
Yes,
and
they
all
have
of
to
that?
have,
They go through all of that?
Right. Same promotional process our AOs, engineers, captains go through. So they have to have 4 years in rank or 3 years with education in order to take the exam. They have to have 100 hours of flight underneath their belt in order to qualify. And then they go through a civil service program, just like any of our other rated members would.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you for the support.
Thank you.
That brings us down to 6B is the report providing an update on the advanced provider.
Madam President, we need a motion to receive and file. May I? That's okay.
Can I get a motion to receive and file 6A?
Motion to receive and file 6A.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Now we're on to 6B.
Good morning again, Madam President, Commissioners, Chief Crowley, staff, and guests. My name is Tyler Dixon, Assistant Chief assigned to the EMS Bureau, and I'll be giving you an update on the Advanced Provider Response Units and Fast Response Units, FRVs, Fast Response Vehicles, to date. To give you just a little bit of background, these types of units have been operating since 2015, and as the Vice President of UFLAC articulated, there were several pilots over the years that involved the deployment of these two light vehicles as novel response units for the fire department to augment our traditional response units of fire engines, fire trucks, and rescue ambulances. Start with the fast response vehicle. This is a light vehicle, typically a pickup truck with a small capacity fire pump, some limited firefighting tools, and emergency medical services equipment. This vehicle can be staffed by 2 firefighters, at least one of which is a paramedic. The other can be a paramedic or an EMT. They are identified by the Department of Health Services, our regulatory oversight agency, the local EMS agency, as either a mobile intensive care unit, that would be 2 paramedics with the full scope of paramedics in the county, or as a assessment, ALS, Advanced Life Support Assessment Unit, having a slightly smaller scope or menu of medications, but still a paramedic assessment. What's novel about these vehicles is while they are housed at a fire station and can respond out of a fire station, generally the mission of these vehicles involves active patrol of a district or of a designated area. And they can have multiple types of missions, both fire suppression, prevention, and of course, emergency medical services. Having them out on the air, if you will, having them out monitoring the radio away from the station, conducting active patrols either for a wildland urban interface area, for grass fires or vegetation fires or wildland fires, to detect and attack and report these fires in the incipient stage and keep them very small and get the appropriate resources there in a timely manner, or patrolling in an urban area for outside fires such as rubbish fires or other types of fires like a homeless encampment that cause exposure challenges to structures or threaten occupied buildings and life. They can identify these types of fire suppression incidents in an early stage and appropriately request additional resources. And with their limited capacity fire pump and a small amount of fire hose, they can start to put water on the fire while our traditional response units are responding, fire engines and fire trucks as well. During that active patrol, the whole time, they are an emergency medical services advanced life support unit that will either be dispatched by our dispatch center, our CAD, our computer-aided dispatch system will identify they're available in the area and dispatch them to a call. But even more important to note on these types of vehicles, because of their active patrol and they're constantly monitoring the radio and they know their position and the relation of other responding units, they can add themselves to any type of call they can see value where they're going to be early to the call. We give them permission under certain circumstances to cancel fire companies. So for example, if we were to dispatch a fire engine to a medical call, the fast response vehicle has permission to add themselves, get to the call ahead of the fire engine that may be responding from the fire station, cancel that fire engine, making them available for other incidents, and then provide advanced life support in a timely manner. Through multiple pilots and now through the adoption of 6 fast response vehicles, and I'll articulate the deployment here in a little bit, we have noted through multiple trials, pilots, and a constant performance management eye and tracking the productivity of these types of units, we know that these units improve response times, improve availability of fire companies and rescue ambulances, and provide timely advanced life support care and emergency medical services. Additionally, you have some fiscal responsibility in that when you send a light vehicle rather than a heavy vehicle, a fire engine or a fire truck, the maintenance costs are less on a light vehicle versus a fire engine or fire truck when we're putting multiple miles on this. Additionally, we have the opportunity for these vehicles during their active patrol to have an impact on our response times and our first water on small incipient outside fires. The second type of unit that we'll go over before I go into the deployment of the two is the Advanced Provider Response Unit, which if you were listening earlier during our activities report of our emergency medical activities, we articulated one specific type of case that an Advanced Provider Response Unit was able to handle. This again is a light vehicle. Typically, at this point, we dispatch them in an ambulance. They could also be in any light vehicle. And we have a firefighter paramedic who has been identified through interview process and provided additional training and familiarity with equipment that they would use in conjunction with their partner, which is a physician assistant or a nurse practitioner. These two members operate as a team and respond to a wide variety of emergency medical services type calls. This unit can provide care for the most high life-threatening condition, above and beyond what a normal paramedic unit could provide. The paramedic can provide paramedic services. The advanced provider, either the physician assistant or nurse practitioner, which is a mid-level provider. This is somebody that you could, in my layman's term, you could articulate as in between a registered nurse and a physician. They have an expanded scope that is above and beyond what a paramedic is able to do. They have an expanded scope which is above and beyond what a registered nurse would be able to do. They operate under the direction of a physician, and they're able to provide care similar to, in many of these circumstances, what you might be accustomed to at an urgent care. If you were a patient going to an urgent care, or you were doing a telemedicine appointment, or you were being seen in an emergency room, you may be seen by a practitioner that's a physician assistant or a nurse practitioner rather than a physician. They have the ability to provide medications, write prescriptions, conduct differential diagnoses, ruling out emergent type causes of a complaint. And in our case, they're able to treat in place or treat and release low acuity patients, somebody that doesn't require emergent transport to a emergency room, but requires some sort of care. They're able to, in place, either in a home or any other location, they're able to provide that advanced assessment utilizing tools above and beyond what a typical ambulance has, and able to provide medication, provide some sort of resolution alternative than a transport to an emergency room. This, of course, we have found similar to a fast response vehicle, through multiple pilots and now the permanent adoption of several of these units. We have found that they also, just to backtrack a little bit, also they typically, while they can respond out of a fire station, generally during their shift, they are out and about in a designated area. They can either be dispatched by our dispatch center, they can be requested by a unit that's already on scene, firefighter EMTs, firefighter paramedics, similar to the case we discussed earlier today, or they can listen to the radio, or they can use their mobile data computer to look at active incidents and add themselves to incidents that they believe they'll either get to first or add value with their advanced skill set. We have found that these units, again, improve response times, as that they can respond just like any other paramedic or ALS, advanced life support unit. We also find that they are able to improve availability of both fire companies and rescue ambulances. And we find that when they use their advanced provider skills to either treat in place or treat and release or treat and refer to another healthcare provider other than an emergency room, or in some circumstances offer a taxi transport to a healthcare facility of their choice after the initial care and treatment, either an emergency room or an urgent care or any healthcare of their choice. We've found that offloads the workload of ambulances that would otherwise have normally transported these types of patients because they were unable to resolve their medical condition on the scene. These are, again, above and beyond what an EMT or paramedic can safely treat and release on scene. Additionally, we know that the emergency rooms in Los Angeles County and in the state for that matter are impacted by staffing challenges, bed availability, and we have increased ambulance offload times for patients in emergency rooms in many of the hospitals that we deal with throughout the city. Treating and releasing these types of patients on scene provides relief to those offload times at hospitals as well. And oftentimes is a higher level of customer service for the patient, providing a resolution to their complaint in their home. To go over the deployment of these resources, we currently have 4 advanced response units deployed with permanent staff of a nurse practitioner or physician assistant employed by the fire department, as well as partnered with a firefighter paramedic. Several of those firefighter paramedic positions are authorized. Several are utilized by details. They're not funded positions. We're utilizing a detail from another existing position. Several board meetings ago, this body approved the conversion of Sober Unit 4 to Advanced Provider Response Unit 4, pending the onboarding of additional physician assistant or nurse practitioner. That will make the 5th unit for us. The report articulates the areas of the city that those serve. In addition, we have 6 fast response vehicles, a couple different iterations of that. We have 2 fast response vehicles operating with variable staffing, meaning that they are staffed by firefighter paramedics or firefighter EMTs that volunteer to work overtime. Those 2 units are staffed 24 hours a day in some of our busiest areas of the city. In addition to that, we have 4 fast response vehicles that are staffed by specialized firefighter paramedics that have not only specialized EMS training above and beyond their initial training, they also are certified and trained to operate in tactical emergency medical incidents, partnering with law enforcement. An example of this would be these paramedics integrate with the SWAT team or the Special Weapons and Tactics team of LAPD to provide paramedics at the very tip of that particular tactical law enforcement incident. When they're not involved in a tactical law enforcement incident, they staff 4 fast response vehicles Monday through Thursday on a 10-hour shift. Additionally to that, we recently added the offer of overtime in the Hollywood area on the fast response vehicle that's normally staffed Monday through Thursday. We're offering additional overtime on a 24-hour basis Friday and Saturday based on the known influx of activity and visitors to the area and congestion around the area. To give you just a little insight into some recent data, the Vice President of UFLAC earlier articulated appropriately, yes, the Advanced Response Unit 65, as well as the other 4, are staffed on a 4-10 schedule Monday through Thursday with the firefighter paramedic and the advanced practitioner. We recently started 30 days ago yesterday, we started offering overtime 2 additional hours Monday through Thursday if the 2 members volunteer for that overtime, making the availability of the resource 12 hours Monday through Thursday. And we're also offering overtime Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for that same resource. So if we had the volunteers for the overtime in addition to their regular 4-10 shift, that would give you 12 hours of coverage over that 7-day period. Just yesterday, we calculated the first 30 days of that trial of offering that overtime for the 12-hour period. Of those 30 days, not responses, but actual on scene, so 281 times the advanced response unit in those 30 days arrived on scene and participated in patient care assessment and provided care either themselves or in conjunction with a firefighter, paramedic, or EMT on a fire engine or a rescue ambulance. Of the 281 times they arrived on scene during that 30-day period, 124 times they canceled a fire company that was responding already. That represents 41% of the times they were on scene. On top of that, 119 times they were able to either cancel a rescue ambulance, either replacing it with a different level of service, an advanced level or a basic level, or cancel the rescue ambulance altogether. That represents 42% of the time they arrived on scene, they canceled a rescue ambulance. Again, making both of those companies, whether it was the fire resource or the rescue ambulance, available for another type of incident. And of the 281 times they arrived on scene, they were able to utilize their advanced provider skill 72% of the time and treat in place or treat and refer or treat and provide a taxi voucher rather than transporting a patient that would have otherwise met transportation criteria for a paramedic or EMT ambulance. Again, lessening the impacts on emergency departments, making ambulances more available. And another note here is those 72 times generally represent people that are not in a life-threatening condition. And when you have a hospital that is impacted and has no bed availability, these are the types of patients that our ambulances can oftentimes be delayed in offloading or transferring care and have to wait for an extended period of time at the hospital. So again, increasing the availability of our rescue ambulance fleet across the city. Additionally, the Advanced Provider Response Unit has the ability to identify patients that are in need of singular psychiatric care or singular sobering care. So these are patients that we initially had responded due to reports of a medical emergency, but they're able at a high level of assessment to identify patients that are having an isolated psychiatric emergency or having an isolated chronic inebriation challenge that's not related to another medical emergency, or they're able to utilize their advanced skills to conduct a differential diagnosis, ruling out any other emergent medical care needs that would require an emergency department, and identify these patients for transport to alternate receiving facilities like psychiatric urgent care centers or a sobering center. So I think that was my 2 minutes you gave me, ma'am. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Commissioner DeLucci.
Well, I guess my only real question is, how do we expand this since it's obviously working? I mean, I'm sold. And I see second to last paragraph says the department looks forward to reporting back in further detail. So before you answer that question, I just want to note that we obviously got to make the pay more competitive for the nurse practitioners and the physician's assistants. And I know that in LAUSD, we had to really up the salary for nurses because you just have to get them. So that seems like task number one. And also, and it seems like, I guess we're saying, it doesn't seem like overtime is, that's not a long-term solution. That's obviously a short-term Band-Aid, which is important. And I would like to see, as the gentleman from UFLAC asked, I would like to see the report at least footnoted that those hours are overtime, at least for Unit AP65. This just seems like, the future. And I just would like your ideas about how we can make sure we expand this.
Yes, ma'am. I think we've talked in several different iterations of previous reports that the increase in demand for emergency medical services that the residents and visitors of Los Angeles are requesting through their 911 calls to the fire department have not only increased in volume, but have evolved in category or type. While the public, I think, generally thinks of the fire department and their EMS services of life-threatening events, cardiac events, trauma, car accidents, things of that nature, which is definitely a large volume of the incidents we respond to. We have seen, coupled with an increase in those life-threatening types of medical emergencies, we've seen an increase in requests and calls for service for mid or low acuity level complaints. And some of these resources is an excellent tactic to evolve with that need, to your point. We are working on several holistic plans to evolve not only these two programs, but to look at our response model in totality. And this board has requested a report on our implementation plans in response to the recently reported Standards of Cover report provided by Citygate, which we are finalizing and working with our labor partners to finalize those recommendations in the very near future. And this board can expect that report within the next couple meetings here. That report will outline exactly what you're asking, ma'am, of our holistic plan to evolve not only these two programs, but our rescue ambulance fleet, our fire suppression capabilities, and ensure we have appropriate response times for every level of call service, and we have appropriate resolutions for every level of call service that the city has clearly asked its fire department for via EMS and fire suppression. How we expand these advanced provider response units, you bring up pay. Yes, the advanced providers are highly sought after practitioners in the medical field. As we know, the medical field has staffing challenges throughout every iteration of it in the hospitals. We are competing with hospitals. The advanced providers that we hire are not only generalists, but they specialize generally in emergency medical services. And these are individuals that have lots of job opportunities. And we have a unique job setting that we're asking them to work in. Typically, a nurse practitioner or physician assistant are working in a semi-sterile type environment. They're in a clinic or in a hospital, and we're asking them to rush around the city in an ambulance or a light vehicle, respond to emergency situations, go into dynamic, sometimes dangerous situations, partnered with a firefighter paramedic, and provide care in a multitude of different locations. So yes, we do need to appropriately compensate the job we're asking them to do and to be competitive with the job market.
Can I just,
Yes, ma'am.
it seems like what you just described seems like the profile of like an ER doc. I mean, it seems like that might be, I mean, maybe we need to look at a different pool of people to recruit, or I don't know, a younger group, or anyway, I think that would be very appealing to a lot of people, that job description. And I also just wanted to suggest, sorry if I interrupted you,
No, ma'am.
but I think it'd be really helpful to list what city council district these vehicles operate in, as we're looking for more funding. Just let's see, you say the fire stations, but let's see the city council districts as well. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
So I have one question, well, I have two questions. The person who spoke representing UFLAC said that this is not permanent, that it's been going on forever and it's still not permanent. Given what we just heard, why is that?
Ma'am, just to correct, so the units that I articulated, the 4 advanced provider response units and the 4 fully staffed FRVs, those are budgeted positions with the exception of 2 or 3 firefighter paramedics that are detailed. So we do not consider them pilot status. They're not on pilot status with our regulatory oversight body. These are fully adopted and recognized units that are within normal Department of Health Services policy. We do not view these as piloted resources. These are part of the department's fleet. The only trial is the word I'm using to describe the advanced provider response unit schedule is offering the overtime.
Okay.
That's something that I would describe that as a trial, not a pilot. There's no regulatory oversight, or generally when we say a pilot in the EMS world, we're talking about something that is outside of the existing policy, and we're asking to look at evolving that policy with our regulatory oversight. So.
And the other is not a question, it's a comment. The report says that there's the physical impact to the fire department. There's no physical impact to us. But during the budget cycle and all of the things where they're cutting our budget, here's the physical impact to the city. We are saving the city money, a lot of money, because we are able to stop sending a ton of apparatus someplace, which means that then we don't have to call up the next station, which increases our response times, because we are keeping that down to a bare minimum. Has anybody explained that to the city?
Yes, so as we're moving forward, I want to be very clear as to what our plan is with this next budget. So it is in our budget plan. We're working towards a 3-year strategy with looking at and utilizing, actually, the standards of cover that shows that we're understaffed and under-resourced.
Right.
So we put together a good, solid plan over the next 3 years with a 3-year implementation, being mindful about a $30 million ask per year versus a $90 million ask for 1 year. The other thing we need to be mindful and have, the reality check is how quickly we could fill those resources too. Knowing that we have our current vacancies, we need to fill our current seats, and then we build out our resource deployment plan in a very strategic and focused way. So I feel really good about the momentum as we're moving into the budget cycle. It is built into our budget request. We're already meeting with city council members. We're meeting with our labor organizations to ensure that we are all moving in the same direction to, in the end, provide a better service, but also, just as important, is creating that balance that we talk about for our members that are extremely busy and fatigued. So that is a holistic approach instead of just kind of waiting. It's like we're leaning forward to ensure that we're creating the momentum to actually put these positions and staff into place.
Okay. So that makes it incredibly important about what Commissioner DeLucas just said, that we let people know where these resources are, what council districts they're in, so that they can understand the value added. And we need to make sure, I just think that you're incredibly forward-thinking, but we need to make sure that we put these things into context, because we do a lot of things for the city that we don't get any funding for, that people don't know anything about, that we never get anything back for. And here we're doing something that we need to really put into context to make sure that the city understands how much money we're saving the city. So when they try to say, you guys can't have any more money, we can have all of these things where we're saying, but here's cost savings, cost savings, cost savings, cost savings, unfunded, 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 so that, they understand. And I think maybe what we should do as commissioner is that we should actually bolster you during the budget process as the governance, because we're also responsible for your budget. So we probably should meet and talk about that and figure out how we lend our support to the department as we're asking for more resources, because into the future, which is what I like about how you're thinking about your strategic planning, and you, Chief Dixon, about this, we're going to be doing more and more of this.
Right.
As we look into 3 years out, 4 years out, that kind of thing.
Put us in the game, Coach.
We have our plan. We're ready to share it with you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam President.
No more questions? Okay. Can I get a motion to receive and file?
Can I just ask that we do add the overtime, the two, I just want to be cognizant of what the Vice President of UFLEX said, that we just want to make sure we identify which of these are due to overtime hours. So with that caveat, I will move this report.
Yes, ma'am. We will-
Can I get a second? Second. Moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay. That brings us to 6C, which is the report providing paramedic vacancy projections as of, oh, wow. Chief Dixon, we just get to have you for a bunch of things.
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, Commissioners, Chief Crowley, staff and guest, again, Tyler Dixon, Assistant Chief assigned to the EMS Bureau. The next item I'll be reporting on, ma'am, is a regular update on our paramedic field vacancy projections. A couple of items that you'll note from the last time this body reviewed a similar report is that based on the Commission's request, we added the projection of the emergency appointment paramedics. But let me go over the report just in totality so everyone can understand what we're looking at. In the top section, as well as articulated in the calculator below, you'll see projections of the current status of, in blue, or in the very first column in black, represents firefighter paramedic positions on rescue ambulances or advanced life support assessment fire companies that are currently vacant for any number of reasons. The gold bars represent the overall field vacancies in all positions on top of the paramedic positions. The calculator that gets you those projections you'll see here is the current vacancies, and then we keep track of projected exits of the deferred retirement option plan, which we're able to project with a high level of accuracy. We also project where we anticipate firefighter paramedics promoting from the rank of firefighter paramedic into another rank, creating a vacancy in that particular seat. And below that, we have other reasons for separations. We typically see about one a month for some other reason other than those two previously mentioned. The next two columns below that represent the onboarding of firefighter paramedics. The first section would be twofold, would be recruits, firefighter ones or firefighter recruits that enter the drill tower or training academy for a career as a firefighter that already happen to have a paramedic license before they join the fire department. That's projected out based on their finishing of probation. And then below that, in that same column, we've added the emergency appointment paramedics, which are the temporary one-year emergency appointment of a person that already has a paramedic license to temporarily provide workload relief in the position of a paramedic. One thing to note there, we've projected 30 onboarding in September. Actual correction to that, that should actually be in October, not this month. They'll be onboarded on the 23rd of October, and the Training and Support Bureau, assisted by the Personnel Department under Chief Gutierrez's leadership, is actively recruiting and filling that class as we speak. And then below that, the section that's articulated as UCLA describes firefighters that are existing employees of the fire department that we send while on duty during their career for training at UCLA Paramedic School, who we partner with, who provide that paramedic education and training. And that projects their completion of their licensure there. You'll see that marches out about every 4 months, plus or minus. We are able to send, there's 3 classes offered every year, and we reserve 15 spots in each of those classes through an agreement with UCLA. You'll note one exception to that. We project 17 hitting the field or receiving their license in May 24, which represents the start of this past September's class, which is the largest class in recent history, where we're sending 25 paramedics. There's obviously an attrition rate. It's a very challenging, fast-paced, highly academic program, which is what we want. We want highly qualified paramedics, so there is an attrition rate. That's why you see 17 there. In addition to that, a couple of things that we're doing to also attack this staffing challenge is, you note that the recruits march out at the end of their probation. We're working towards accrediting those recruits that already have a paramedic license earlier in their first year of probation. Many of the recruits have a state license, but they need to go through an LA County accreditation. We typically do that at the end of their probation, but we're looking to push that forward so we can move those numbers up a little bit. And then we're actively anticipating those EAPs next month. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
I thought that we also wanted to, she's helping me.
I thought it wasn't on, but it is on. I couldn't see your light, sorry.
Commission meetings are more fun now, aren't they?
Absolutely.
I thought that we were going to get a companion piece to this report. We did ask you for that, didn't we?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're compiling it, but it's going to take a bit.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all, that's okay. I'm not fussing. I just wanted to make sure that I remembered correctly that we're going to get another piece to this.
Yes, we're actively working on that, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I need a motion to receive and file.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, so now we have we're now into D, which is the verbal report on the LAFD Office of Intergovernmental Affairs.
Good morning.
Good morning.
President Helvey Hayes, Vice President DeLuca, excuse me, Commissioners, Fire Chief, City Attorney, colleagues and guests. My name is Peter Schau. I'm the Acting Chief of Staff. I'd like to introduce our newest member to our staff. This is Matt Hernandez. He's our intergovernmental relationship expert, and he's coming to us from CD12.
Good morning, Madam President, Commissioners, Chief Crowley, City Attorney, LFD Command Staff, all others sworn and civilian personnel. Again, my name is Matthew Hernandez. I am your intergovernmental relations liaison. So main duties are liaison between the fire department, city council, mayor's office, all other elected officials, which will include maybe county, state, federal elected officials. The other duty, or there's other duties as well, basically continue liaison within the LAFD and any nonprofit organizations, which I'll include on the side major corporations, professional sports teams, mainly for events or fundraising, et cetera. The other duty, which is fun for me, I know it might seem kind of crazy, is event planning with the community liaison unit. One event that they plan that I have met a few of you there was the 9/11 memorial ceremony. There are a lot more event plannings, but I do take part in that. The other responsibility is if there's a major emergency within city limits, or if a elected office wants to know about any aid we're providing to a neighboring city, county, et cetera, would be my duty to liaison that information to those elected officials. Again, I come from City Council District 12. There, I had a longer list of responsibilities, but the main ones were essentially doing the same thing for the fire and police department. When there's a major brush fire, I would coordinate responses between our offices, elected officials, FD, PD, Red Cross, opening the emergency shelters if needed. And I could go into more into what I did at CD12, but it's a long list. But it's essentially the same thing, same responsibilities. I'm open to any questions you have.
So, are you just our only person in this department, or do you have staff?
Yes, there's support staff. I report directly to Chief Shao.
Okay. So, I'm not quite sure I'm going to say this correctly, but your goals, as I understand it, are to help the city council understand what's going on in LAFD on a regular basis.
Correct, and the mayor's office.
So you would meet with your counterparts in the
City council.
city council offices? I mean, you would meet with whoever their liaison is?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And can you tell me, so your vision for this is because you want to do what? More transparency, what's your vision for as you're executing?
Essentially, yes. More transparency between the city council, mayor's office, and the FD. My main focus with City Council District 12, there was a lot of transparency between LAPD and city council. But my idea being here, I'm just going to be upfront. If LAPD can talk freely with city council, why can't the LAFD too? So that's my goal.
Okay. And that's actually been your experience when you worked in CD12. Your experience is that this helps
Yes.
to bridge that gap so that there's more transparency between the mayor's office, council offices, and what's going on with the fire department.
Correct. I mean, don't get me wrong. There was plenty of communication between me and LAFD. there's a lot of chiefs in here, actually.
So
that-
you're going to streamline it.
Yes.
So you're going to be the point person. There is a lot of communication going on, but you perceive yourself to be the person that will kind of streamline that, and you would be the point person
Yes, ma'am.
for the calls that come in.
Correct.
Okay. So I have one more question. Does this mean that you will also have to participate in meetings on the fire department side so that you have enough information to be able to convey it, like in planning meetings or, when you're talking about a strategic plan or when you're talking about planning ops or things like that? You would come into those meetings so that you would have enough information so that you could maybe preheat some stuff that needs to go across the street?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. My office is in that office over there. So I have direct contact with anyone. Not anyone.
Where you sit is not my question. My question is,
Understood.
would you be in meetings? Officially, would you be in meetings? I'm not talking about where your office is. I'm talking
Right.
about you as the governmental liaison. Would you be in the kind of meetings that would give you the information that you need to be able to convey it to the mayor, the city council, and our outside partners in a timely manner, and sometimes so that you could let them know ahead of time what's happening and what is coming? That's what I'm asking.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And if I may, I'm very honored to have you as part of our team. I think Mr. Hernandez brings a lot of experience over from council with his experiences and his relationships. So the key to having somebody like him in this position is obviously to get out in front, to already have those positive professional relationships with the city council, mayor's office, and whomever else the fire department needs to get out to share, just like what you said, essential information, but it's also identifying where our gaps are. Right? And to have a subject matter expert come in and join our team, it's going to make us stronger in regard to not only articulating what our needs are, but to be the conduit of information flow so we can get out ahead of things. So that's what I'm really looking forward to, is having Matt as part of our team to help us continue to grow in that area. I think there's always room to grow in that area, so I'm ecstatic to have you a part of our team, Matt.
So how often would you envision that you would come and talk to the commission about what you're doing, how you're feeling about your progress, and how you're feeling about whether or not this is really a positive thing that's happening for the fire department? My concern is the fire department and whether or not what you're going to do is going to enhance the council's understanding, the mayor's understanding, our outside partners' understanding of exactly all of the things that LAFD does. So do you envision that you would come and talk to the commission from time to time to really tell us what you're doing and how it's going?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, I would go to the pre-commission meetings to update you there, and then essentially, and monitor more motions, and then maybe report to the commission directly. Those motions would come from essentially committees from city council, like Public Safety Committee, Budget and Finance, possibly Public Works, and any others that would require LAFD motions to go through there and come here to you guys, or vice versa.
Commissioner DeLucich.
Did you
And
also
then-
have a question?
No, go ahead.
You're
Okay.
good?
Hello there. Nice to meet you. I'm Sharon. And welcome. Every meeting we get this list of sometimes important and sometimes silly lists of requests or directions from city council offices. And I just wonder if, here's one from 2021, but I wonder if part of your job could be like going back to these authors of these, I don't know if they're, requests, like do you really need this? Do you really want this? Was this just something that popped into your head on that particular day? I mean, it just seems like it's ridiculous. We have this running list that never ends and just like, what is, anyway, so would you also be sort of tackling this as part of your work to go back to council offices and say like, do you really need this? Or can we just like, quietly set it aside? Let's get rid of this list.
Yes, ma'am. I can do that.
Okay, and you'll be going to public safety committees, of course, as you said. So it's both bringing us information and transmitting
Correct.
information from us. Would you also have a,
So yes, you would be doing this too, she was saying.
Yeah, he
You-
said
you would
yes.
You would be taking care of this.
Yes, ma'am.
bring this down to a blank page? Like if it's not part of the strategic plan or the standards of cover, done. Would you also be relating to the constituency groups within the department, like the Bomberos, Centurions, Women in the Fire Service, UFLAC? Would that be part of your job as well? I mean, I know that's the chief's job, but would you also be like maintaining relationships with those constituency groups?
I'll answer that for you. So yes, I mean, our plan is to utilize Matt in full capacity, understanding that he brings in a unique lens and set of experiences. So there's, you think about what a intergovernment affairs individual will do for any organization. He's going to be well versed in many, many layers of our department. And will be part of our team as we continue to work very, very closely with our stakeholder groups. So to answer that, I would say yes. We haven't even, this is day, 2 for you? Or last week you started, so day 5. So we're working through what his duties and responsibilities are. But with that, yeah, we plan on utilizing his unique lens and experiences in many different ways.
Commissioner Babcock, did you have a question?
Not so much a question, just first of all, thanks for being here. And I think this is just a good time in the history of this commission and this department to probably have a liaison set in place like this. I think in my couple years now on the commission and having served on a former commission, I would like to see that this particular commission have a little bit more teeth when able to interact with our experience and our body, our governing body between the fire chief and council. Oftentimes, I think things hit the agenda as an afterthought that comes from council. So that's just, for the record, in terms of just being more transparent and having you in this role should help us all, and particularly Chief Crawley's agenda to take that to the next level, along with our excellent commission president. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
That's just what we do.
Yeah.
But we are happy that you're here. And I would like to ask at this point, because we're asking you so many questions and we realize that you just, barely got here. I would like to ask if you could come back to us in 3 months
3 months.
so that you can tell us all the things that you have done. You'd have a better idea of what your vision is and what your goals are for the office. And I think we would then better understand how, I think Commissioner Babcock is right, how much this is going to, in fact, strengthen our hand when we really want to get information out and we want to get information in. Because I see you as a conduit 2 ways. I see you as the conduit who gets information out from the fire department, but I also see you as a person who is constantly meeting with and talking to people so that you bring information back that helps the fire chief as she rolls out her strategic plan. She's got a 3-year plan, which is excellent, going forward. But I see it that way. I don't know how you see it, but I see you not only pushing information out, but I see you also bringing information back. And so as the governing body, we'd like to understand that as well.
Yes, ma'am.
So 3 months, Chief, we have him back?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
3 months.
And just verbal. We don't need a written report or anything, but just, if you can just verbally tell us how you're doing.
Yes, ma'am.
And once again, welcome,
Thank you.
and we're happy you're here.
Thank you. Looking forward.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Okay.
Matt.
That brings us to 6E, which is a verbal report on the drill tower COVID incident.
Good morning, Madam President, Commissioners, Chief Crowley, City Attorney, colleagues and guests. My name is Peter Schall. I'm the Acting Chief of Staff. I'm just going to give a very brief verbal overview of the drill towers COVID incident. So between August 26th and 28th, the training academy staff assigned to drill tower 81 were notified that there were 17 of 42 newly graduated recruits from recruit class 22-5 that had tested positive for COVID. And these were, the recruits had just graduated 1 day prior. So the procedure for that was the recruit services section coordinated with medical liaison to ensure that they received the proper level of care. Their treatment was documented, and then the workforce effectiveness unit was also notified, and they acted as liaison with their new field assignments in order to make sure that those recruits were kept up to date with their training. Furthermore, an additional 15 out of 58 recruits from class 23-1, which was just beginning, also tested positive, so that transition period, in addition to 3 academy staff. So what the drill tower did was actually very, very smart. They pivoted from an in-person online teaching to an in-person training to an online teaching platform. And they utilized the Google Classroom platform. And at that point, they switched their curriculum and they covered hazardous materials, confined space awareness, and wildfire firefighting lectures. And that allowed them to keep the recruits up to date with their teaching materials, and it didn't force them to have to extend the class at all. During this time, it also allowed for them to limit the spread of COVID, and it prevented the ill recruits from being medically reassigned due to too many days missed. Once that period was resolved, that 10-day period was resolved, recruit services sections worked with JHAT, our Joint Hazardous Assessment Team. They had the classroom decontaminated with our D7 process, which is a hydrogen peroxide spray that completely kills the virus. And then we reinstituted our decontamination protocols on a twice per day basis. And since we've done that, there have been no further incidents. And that's my report.
Does anybody have a question? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, I have something on here that says, I have an H on one, sorry, and an E on the other one, and they're different.
Mine has
Verbal report on this. So are they different? Verbal report on the drill tower COVID incident is one thing, is that correct?
That's what he just
And
reported
then
on.
there's H
his-
on here. What is, I have two different things going on. Well, look, don't you have one? Look,
Yeah, I have that as E. And so
I have
you-
this, and then I have this.
It was an earlier.
Sorry, we're trying to figure out who's on first.
This is the latest.
Enjoy yourselves for a moment.
Yeah, that's the
Speak with your
correct one.
elbow partner.
This is the right one.
What? E?
Oh, this must be an old one.
What?
Ignore this one, that's the one.
So this is the one. So we're still doing E.
We just completed E.
What?
We just completed E.
Did we do E? Are you saying to me we already did E?
Yes.
We just completed it.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
We can adjourn.
What?
We can adjourn.
I know. Now we can adjourn. Okay, sorry. Can I get a motion for adjournment? We're done for today. At least I'm done for today.
Yeah, well, seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Thank you.